When I was a couple weeks short of my 70th birthday, I started thinking about my mother's mother, who lived to be 100, and her mother, who lived to be 102, and my father, who lived to be 90, longer than anyone we had ever heard of in his family. I began to think that maybe our generation could be the first to routinely live to be 100. When I talked about this at family dinner one night, my granddaughter, who was 5, said,
"What are you going to do for the next 30 years, Grandpa?"
Hi, I'm Janet, and I'm Oldish.
"Hi, I'm Gregg, and I'm Oldish, and this is a new series of episodes that we're doing for Oldish, Conversations on Aging in the 21st Century, that is short conversations between just the two of us that we're referring to as Shortish episodes. So welcome to our second Shortish episode of Oldish. Today we're talking about Father's Day. I am a father. So Father's Day has special meaning to me. It's very important to me. Even before I was a father, Father's Day had special meanings to me because I had a father who since passed away. And I knew both of my grandfathers. And in fact, at one point, for somewhere in the vicinity of a year, both of my grandfathers lived in our house when I was growing up. And my kind of tween years, it was sometime between the time I was 10 and 13, maybe a little bit older than that. My grandparents took turns living with us, but then one set of grandparents lived with us permanently until they passed away. There were times when both sets of grandparents lived in my house, so I knew both of my grandfathers very well. And whenever Father's Day rolls around, I always nod in their direction and remember them fondly. They were both great guys. My relationship with my own father had some strains in it, but by the end of his life, we had made up all of those things. And so there was nothing but love left between us toward the end of my father's life. So I think about him a lot. At one point, we actually on purpose agreed to forgive each other for whatever it was that we think we had done to cause any issues between us. And given that neither one of us could really remember exactly what those things were, we decided that it would be okay to forgive each other for that. And we were able to do that actually while my mother was still alive too. So that improved things. So, and now that I'm a father, Father's Day has special meaning for me. I have 3 wonderful daughters and 3 wonderful sons-in-law and 5 absolutely amazing grandchildren. And all of that has improved my life immeasurably. All of my children are really wonderful. I'm extraordinarily proud of all 3 of them. And one of the things that makes me happy in my life is that they have each turned into just really great mothers. And each one of them has at least one child, and they're really good at being mothers. And so I'm really pleased about that. So that's my relationship to Father's Day. How about you?
First of all, happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
For me, I also wanted to say, as you're talking about your father and your grandfathers, that our intro to this podcast, you mentioned your grandparents. And so I think that's noteworthy so everyone listening to our podcast at least once has heard that opening. And now we've gotten a chance to hear a little bit more about those relationships and what they meant to you. So for me, first of all, Father's Day, I think of my father, and I was adopted. So I actually technically have 2 fathers. I have my birth father and the father who raised me. I've never met my birth father. I'm very, very thankful for the man who became my father. It's been a long, circuitous journey of knowing him a lot past when he died and appreciating him more and more. What you were just saying about Father's Day made me think about that when you and your father decided to forgive each other. I was thinking that's almost like the best possible scenario for Father's Day, and obviously not necessarily on Father's Day, but just the idea of or the reality of how do you make peace with your father, your grandfathers, you as a father in your children's lives. That just seems like lovely to be able to look at those relationships and figure out, is there some healing that needs to happen and or celebrating the healing that has happened. With my father, he was a avid tennis player in his life, and certainly passed that on to me. And now that I'm an avid pickleball player, I know that he would love watching me play pickleball, would love playing pickleball if he could. And I often think of him being there when I'm on the court. And I guess that's my best tribute to my dad, that he's there with me and happy to see me playing. I have 3 children. 2 of them are boys, now men. One of them is a father, and he has 2 children. So I have 2 grandchildren, and I have delighted in watching my son grow into his role and his experience as father. So I certainly celebrate him on Father's Day, and I'm just extremely thankful that he is the father that he is, loving and kind and accepting and encouraging. And also, I think such a big role for fathers and mothers, but today we're talking about fathers, is to grow ourselves and continue our own becoming. And I certainly see that in my son. So I'm beyond thankful for who he is as a person and who he's become and becoming as a father. And as far as my grandfathers, I knew my maternal grandfather. He was a very quiet and loving man. He was a math teacher. He died when I was pretty young. And then my other grandfather was a very successful businessman and entrepreneur. I didn't know him very well, but I did know him a little bit.
Do you ever think about your birth grandfather?
No,
You had
no, that's
you
a
had
very
2
interesting
birth
question.
grandfathers, right? Yeah. I know that you know your birth mother. You had a father, and your birth father had a father. So maybe you should stop to think about them once in a while on Father's Day.
My birth mother's father, since I know her, I've heard about her father, and so I have some sense of him, but he had already died when I found her. So
Yeah.
I wanted to share a little bit of history around Father's Day. It is technically the 3rd Sunday in June every year. And the person who is credited with originating Father's Day's name is Sonora Smart Dodd of Spokane, Washington. She first thought of the idea of Father's Day in 1909. She was sitting in church hearing a sermon about Mother's Day, which lets us know that Mother's Day was already thought of and created. And she was sitting there thinking about, well, there's a Mother's Day. I think maybe there should be a Father's Day. And her own story was having a father who was a Civil War veteran, and that he had raised all 6 children on his own after their mother had died during childbirth. So I'm
Wow.
guessing that she had a wonderful kind of pride in her father and all that it meant to be a father. So June 19th in 1910 was the first Father's Day. And then the presidents along the way gave their support. 1924, President Coolidge made official comments about it. And then 1996, jumping ahead, President Johnson issued a proclamation recognizing the day nationally. And then 1972, President Nixon signed legislation making it an official holiday.
So Lyndon Johnson made Memorial Day a holiday, and seems like he was instrumental in making Father's Day a holiday too. So maybe we should have
Yes.
a Lyndon Johnson Day.
I know he got a lot done. He started Head Start, among many other things. So, yeah.
Now, he had more of a mixed kind of a history that we won't go into. So, okay, well, that's all I have to say about Father's Day. What about you?
Just want to invite our listeners, if anyone listening has comments about your own experiences with Father's Day, comments on about what we've been talking about and sharing, or always any ideas for future episodes, please leave those messages on our website, either writing them or audio recordings. We welcome any and all comments.
Yes. And the website is www.oldish.me.
All right. Well, till next time, everyone. Bye, Gregg.
Bye, Janet.
Happy Father's Day.
That's it for now. Thanks for listening. We enjoyed our visit and hope you did too. Today would be a great day to feel gratitude for all the fathers in the world. Our next episode will be another in our new series, Shortish. It will be a dinking game installment. We'll be talking about the Taoist concept of Wu Wei, defined by Alan Watts as not forcing. How can that help improve your dinking game and your life? You can leave comments or requests for topics or guests on this or other episodes at www.oldish.me. There's a link there, too, if you've wondered how you can help support our podcast. If you like what you heard today, please tell a friend and rate and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts.